want to do a very, very quick live stream. I've got a lot of stuff going on, so I don't have a lot of time, but I did want to spend just a little bit of time with you guys. So I've got the Journeyman U-Bass, and I'm just going to jump right into it, starting with the opening song I always do. Oops. Sorry, it's kind of hard to multitask over here. I'm trying to get the angle better on here, but it's difficult. There we go. So once again, I'm doing a little car session, and started the same way I always do with green tea. But I hope you guys are doing well. If you have any questions or anything, please feel free to ask on the stream. This is my Kala Journeyman U-Bass, and yeah, I just thought it'd be kind of fun doing a car session. That's cool. We got the American flag in the background. I'm only playing it because the American flag's in the background. All right, so I parked in front of an American flag. I might as well play the national anthem. I want to thank y'all for hanging out here on the stream. Where are you guys tuning in from? I hope that everybody is having a good time, and if you enjoy the channel, let me know. If you have any questions from any videos or just about the U-Bass in general, let me know. Like I said before, this is the Kala Journeyman model, and I've put flat wound strings on this one. So they make flat wound strings for the Kalas. You might have to adjust the nut or replace the nut in order to use them, but they're pretty good. Let me get this strap out of the way. All right. So some point I'd like to start a blues course for you guys. I know I've done a few blues videos on here, but the hard thing for me to figure out is if I do a course, where to stop on one video and start the other. Because there's just so much that I feel like needs to be in the first video, and that's kind of why I'm waiting to do that. But real quickly, let me just talk a little bit about the blues. How many of you guys know how to play the blues? So let me know in the comments if you play a lot of blues or not. Let's see, Victor says, can you figure out the bass part to Honey Baby Medley? I could probably do that later. At the moment, I can't really access things, but I'm sure I could probably do something with that at some point. Yeah, let me know, maybe in the comment of another video as well, just in case I forget. But yeah, I'll at least check out the version and just see what he's doing. If it's easy to do, maybe I can throw that into the next live stream, or potentially make a video out of it, maybe a short video or something. But anyway, yeah, so like with the blues, basically you've got a lot of different variations of the blues, right? But a lot of the songs are over a 12-bar form. So I'm basically gonna make a course that starts with a root note bass line that follows the 12-bar form. Then we'll do some, okay, thanks Victor, appreciate you. And then I may just get you on Facebook, I'm not sure. But yeah, just let me know on that one, remind me of that. Okay, so basically you could do a root note bass line, which would sound kind of like this. Third measure. And it would start over again right there. Okay, so basically that's the simplest way that you can probably play a blues, as long as you get the shuffle rhythm down that I was playing, that long, short, long, short, long, short, and then you're just playing the root notes throughout the form. So basically, first you need to know a little bit about just the general chord progression of the blues in order to be able to play it in any key. So we'll learn like a movable pattern. Okay, so so basically you kind of need to know a scale. So if you haven't watched my beginner's course, you could go there and learn a major scale, right? So you got, right now I'm doing C major, so I'm starting on the 3rd fret on the A string. Then you got the 5th fret on the A string. Then 2, 3, and 5 on the D string. And then 2, 4, and 5 on the G string. So if we gave each one of those like a number in the order that they happen, so 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, we can basically find our root notes of the chords using those numbers. So a 12-bar blues, first we have 4 measures on the 1 chord. So that'd be like our C, our first note of the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll just do like whole notes from now. 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now in the 12-bar blues, the next thing we've got to find is our 4 chord, and we stay on the 4 chord for 2 measures or 2 bars. So the 4 chord, we go 4 notes up the scale that we were already in. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the root note of our 4 chord. So we'll play that 2 times, and we'll do them as whole notes as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're going to go back to our first one for 2 measures. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we're 8 measures into it. Our next chord is going to be our 5 chord. So to find the root note of the 5 chord, we go 5 notes up the scale. So we take that C major scale that we're already doing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the 5th note of the scale. That's going to be the note that we play for our 5 chord. And we're going to do that for 2 measures. Or why don't we do the version that actually changes? We'll do that for 1 measure. 2, 3, 4. Then we go back to our 4 chord. There's our 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're back to our root. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you got some choices at the end. Let's say we go back to our 5 chord for the last measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. So using that scale, and knowing our first note of the scale, our fourth note of the scale, and our fifth note of the scale. And if you look at it, they make a nice little L shape kind of thing. 3rd fret, 3rd fret, 5th fret. Okay, so 3rd fret on the A string, 3rd fret on the D string, and 5th fret on the G string. Notice that L shape though, because basically that's a movable pattern. That's where our roots will be anytime we play the blues, right? Is just if you're in a different key, like you might start on an A up here, but to find our 4 chord and our 5 chord, they end up being, so the 4 chord is right below the 1 chord, and the 5 chord is 2 frets up from it. So once you know that, you have your starting point of basically where your patterns will begin when you play a 12-bar blues. Okay, so now we can play a whole note bass line based on that. So what I'm going to do is play on C, and we're just going to hold each one for 4 beats, and we're going to play 12 measures. So that's 4 measures on the 1 chord, 2 measures on the 4 chord, 2 measures on the 1 chord, 1 measure on the 5 chord, 1 measure on the 4 chord, 1 measure on the 1 chord, 1 measure on the 5 chord. So that's a lot to remember. When I make the full course, I'll probably, have that written down or on the screen somewhere. For right now, just bear with me and feel free to replay that later on. But basically, we're just going to play through what I just said. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the fourth one, 1, 2. Now we're going to the 4 chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Then back to the 1 chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Then we go to the 5 chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the 4 chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the 1 chord. 2, 3, 4. And we'll end on the 5 chord. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's our root note bass line. That is the simplest way we could play it. Most people don't throw that into songs. They usually use that as a starting point, right? So like our patterns will start where we started all those different things. So one thing we could do now is we could learn a shuffle rhythm pattern, which is that long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short. These are also known as like swing eighth notes. I don't know if you use past tense or present tense. Swing eighth notes, whatever you want to do. I've heard them called both. So that's going to be that long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short. And because there are 8 of them in a measure, we're going to play 8 of them for each measure. So that means the first bar will be like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And basically I do 4 of those on the 1 chord before we move. So let's play that. I'm going to play through the whole entire 12-bar form. Hopefully y'all understood that concept. If not, feel free to leave a comment below, and I'll get back to you on that. Okay, so here we go. 12-bar with the shuffle rhythm pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Second measure, 2, 3, 4. Third measure. Fourth measure. Now we're going to go to the 4 chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another one, 2, 3. Then back to the 1 chord. Another 1 chord. Now we're going to go to the 5 chord. Oops. 4 chord. The 1 chord. Then the 5 chord. So that's about as simple as you can play the 12-bar blues, and you would hear that in songs. So a good example of that kind of bass line, Tush by ZZ Top. They have a couple of walk-ins that they throw in to make it a little bit more interesting, but basically the bass line. In the 4 chord, they walk back into the 1 chord. And they go to the 5 chord, then the 4 chord, then the 1 chord, then they walk into the 5. So they do a little bit, they do a little walk to get back to the 5 chord rather than just playing the 5 chord. So as you can see, it's very, very similar to what we just played in the other key, but they started in G and added little walk-ups here and there. So there are some cliche walk-ups that you can add, and you could go ahead and add them now, but I think it's more important to understand that your pattern is starting in these spots, right? So the only limitation to where I just did this is like if we have a pattern that like skips over a string and goes down here, well then when we go to our 4 chord, we'll run out of strings to play it. So what you do in that case is instead of going up to your 4 chord, you could go down in pitch to your 4 chord. So in order to get this note down the octave, we would take it over 2 strings and over 2 frets. So instead of going from the C up to the F, we could go from the C down to that F to play our patterns. So now we're going to apply a pattern to this 12-bar blues. This would probably, in the course, if I do this, this will probably be a separate video, and I'll go more in depth with that kind of stuff. But basically, let's just take this pattern. It's just a very common, like, 12-bar thing. So of the major scale, you're playing, well, let's not do that one. Let's do a box shape pattern. Let's do this one instead. So that's the root, the 5th, the 7th, and the octave. Or if you're using this little box shape, 3rd fret on the A string, 5th fret on the D string, 3rd fret on the G string, and 5th fret on the G string. So the important thing to know about this pattern is you're starting on a note, you're going up 2 frets and over 1 string, then you're going back 2 frets and over to the next string, and then you're going up 2 frets on the same string. Root, 5th, 7th, octave, or 3rd fret A, 5th fret D, 3rd fret G, 5th fret G string. So hopefully that kind of helps. But notice what your fingers are doing. Starting here, going down a string over 2 frets, okay, then playing the original fret, but now on the thinner string. So it's like pay very close attention to the movement your fingers are doing. We're gonna play 4 of those because we're doing a 12-bar blues. Now we're gonna go to our 4 chord. Oh, we can't go here because we'll run out of notes. So why don't we take it down here? Notice my fingers are doing the same motion. They're going down a string over 2 frets for the second note, then back, and then back there. But now we're on 1st frets and 3rd frets instead of 3rd frets and 5th frets. So basically where your pattern moves to is determined by like your pointer finger moving to the root note that we talked about before. So doing the 12-bar blues with this pattern, it would sound like this all the way through. 2nd measure, 3rd measure, 4th. Now we're going to the 4 chord. We're doing it again. We go back into the 5 chord, into the 4 chord, into the 1 chord, and then back to the 5 chord. And so now you get the idea of the blues, right? It's just, now we just need different patterns that we can move around, and then we just need to know where to move them. Keeping it low down on the neck is a good call. So if you're starting your pattern on the A string, like let's say we're in the key of C, so you're starting on the 3rd fret on the A string, then we want to move down to the F rather than up to the F. And when I say up, I mean up in pitch versus down in pitch. We want to move down in pitch. So that way we can play our whole pattern up there. Okay, but now let's pick a different key so we can see how this works when you move it around. Okay, so let's pick the key of A. We've used that as an example before. Okay, so we've got our root, we've got our 4th, we've got our 5th. Okay, so now I'm going to play that same pattern that I was doing over there, but I'm starting on this A right here, 5th fret on the E string. So that's 5th fret on the E string, 7th fret on the A string, 5th fret on the D string, and 7th fret on the D string. Okay? So we play that 4 times. And this one's easy because we'll just move it up in pitch, but literally our finger went directly below where it was. So that's our 4th note of the A major scale. So it's a D note. But look, we just do our same pattern. It's just every finger moved over a string, right? We do it 2 times there like I just did. Then we go back to the first one, do it 2 times. Back to the 1 chord. Okay, now we're gonna move to the 5 chord. So, oh, it's right there, right? Our little L shape. Okay, there it is. 1 time there, then we're gonna go back to the 4 chord. Then then back to the 1 chord, and then we'll do the 5 chord at the end. So I'll play it through without talking through it. Okay, cool. So sometimes we have different styles, right? So that one could work. I don't know, we're doing a quarter note line. You might be able to play that over what they consider like a swing style. If someone at a blues jam was like, hey, play this, you know, play a swing blues in A, they might be talking about something like that. Although that pattern's typically not the one you'd use for swing. You'd probably use one of these kind of patterns. And the thing about those patterns is, since those are quarter notes, you're actually doing 2 measures when you go up and back down the pattern. So the first measure is, the second measure is. So that means if we only have 4 measures to do it, we only play that whole pattern 2 times. So it gets a little more confusing there, right? Because then when you get to the ones where you're just on there for 1, it's like, what do? You basically just do half the pattern. So I'll demonstrate real quick. So this is still in A. We're starting on our middle finger. We're going 5th fret on the E string, 4th fret on the A string, 7th fret on the A string, then 4th fret on the D string. That's our first measure. Then our second measure will go 5th fret on the D string, back to 4th fret on the D string, then back to 7th fret on the A string, and back to 4th fret on the A string. And that's our whole pattern. So if we want 4 measures of it, we got bum 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 bum, and then we're ready to move to our 4 chord. So let me play through it. 3rd measure, 4th measure. Now we're going to our 4 chord. We just move it all down, or all to the next string over. We only do it once because that was 2 measures already. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're back to our 1 chord. That was 2 measures as well. So now when we go to our 5 chord, we're only here for 1 measure, so we can only play half the pattern. Then we move to our 4 chord, and then we can play the pattern at the end, or we could do half the pattern and go to the 5 chord. Right? So we could do that, or if we just stayed on the 1 chord, because a lot of times with this style, you just stay on the 1 chord, you just play the whole pattern. And then the whole blues would start over again at that point. So let me play through that whole thing, and I'm going to count the measures just so that you know where we are in the 12-bar form. First measure, second measure, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and then you're starting over. Cool. So that's the idea on all that. So then the next step, now that we've got our basic patterns down, is let's go back to one of the simpler ones, and now we're going to add walk-ups. Where do the walk-ups generally happen on the blues? They generally happen on the 4th measure of the blues, is probably the most common, and then towards the end of the song they might happen on the basically the 8th measure of the blues going into the 9th measure is a good way to kind of cue that we're going to end the song. So let's go back to our root note line, and so that's our 2nd measure, 3rd measure, then we'll do a walk up. Now we're on our 4 chord, back to the 1 chord. Let's go to the 5, we'll walk. Then back to the 4 chord. Okay, so what were those walks, right? The first one was on measure 4, going from the 1 chord into the 4 chord. Excuse me. But how did I figure out those notes? Well, I wanted to end on the 4 chord. So basically, I started on the 1 chord, then I jumped over to a note that was just 4 half steps away from where I wanted to end up. right? So I ended up playing the original 1 chord, the root of the 1 chord. Then it ends up being like you're jumping up to the 2nd note of the scale, but I'm doing it back here just so you can see that they're all in a row leading into the 4 chord. And then after that 2nd note, you're just filling in the gaps 1 fret at a time until you get to where you're trying to end up, which is the 4 chord. So in context, that's going to be on the 4th measure. So 1st measure, 2nd measure, 3rd measure. Here we go. Boom, 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 boom. Right? And so that's one of the walk-ups. The other walk-up I did was going from the 1 chord in the 8th measure and walking into the 5 chord. Same idea. You're starting on the root note, but then this time we're jumping up to the 3rd note of the scale, because the 3rd note of the scale is 4 half steps away, 4 frets away from where we're trying to end up. So that ends up sounding like this. Right? So so if we were playing the blues all the way to there, I'm going to do the walk up only in that spot so you know which one I'm talking about. So 1st measure, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. So you hear how that sounded, how it fit in there? And then you can add a little walk up at the end. That little walk up that's very cliche, that's in a lot of songs, is just 4 sharp 4 5. So of your key, you're going to start on the 4th note of the scale, and you're going to walk to the 5th note of the scale, just using the note that's in between. And that's the whole concept. So hopefully that gives you guys like a little idea of the blues. Obviously, there's a whole lot more concepts, and hopefully I get around to starting this course soon, because I think it'll be good. My idea with the course is I want to take you guys from maybe not even being able to play the blues to being able to play it well enough to, if you go to a blues jam and somebody shouts at you, hey, this one's a slow blues in G, you know what to do. So obviously today I didn't get far enough to talk about the slow blues pattern. I think I only talked about a shuffle and maybe a swing feel, but there's like a whole bunch of different patterns, right? So there's like a, I'll just go with the swing, shuffle. There's a jump blues, which is basically like doing a country bass line, root fifths, where that's 1 measure going root fifth, root fifth. So they're quarter notes, not half notes. So like Folsom Prison's is kind of that kind of blues. Although technically Folsom Prison's an 11 bar. If you listen to the original, most people play it as a 12 bar. Let me see. And then a slow blues, we just talked about. That one's got more of a 12/8 feel. Bum, 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 ba-da-dum. That kind of feel. And then you could have a funky blues where you just have like a funky pattern. That was really a terrible concept because I wasn't always getting to the root, but you get the idea of the pattern. It can have a lot of ghost notes, it can use octaves, it can use a lot of things like that, but you just apply it to the 12 bar form. Okay, so that's basically the idea. And then there's like a rumba kind of blues. That kind of line works really well over those. So hopefully that gives you a big overview of the blues. I think every bass player should know the blues. Personally, it's like a really, really good building block for everything else that you can do. So, and the blues shows up in so many different styles. So try learning the blues on your own. Hopefully I'll have a course up, or I'll at least start releasing them one by one here in the next couple of months. That's my plan. I've just got to figure out how to split up everything I just taught you guys in the last 30 minutes into a little more in-depth set of videos and then go over more of the patterns, the slow blues, more walk-ups and walk-downs, cliche endings, and all that stuff. So I'm gonna play one out, but then I'm just gonna call it a day. So thank y'all for hanging out here. Let me play one more 12-bar blues, and this time I'm gonna end it with a cliche ending. Walk up. Another walk up. All right. Thank you guys for hanging out. And I know I haven't said much to the comments. Victor, I saw your Facebook message. I appreciate that. Glad that you enjoyed this one, MJ. And then Lou says, I would have never bought a U-bass with your videos on flat wound strings, so thank you. I'm glad that you're enjoying your U-bass. I hope it's a lot of fun. I hope you're enjoying the flat wound strings. And once again, thank y'all for hanging out here. I'll see y'all guys next time. And I've got to go, so see y'all next month. And I'll release a video at some point this month too, but live stream, I try to do this the first Thursday of each month if I can, even if I have to cram it in 30 minutes late on the way to somewhere. Oops. But y'all take care, and I will see y'all later on. Thanks for hanging out.